You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business. Dropbox's secure signature service suffers a breach. CISA is set to announce a voluntary pledge towards enhanced security. Five Eyes partners issue security recommendations for critical infrastructure. Microsoft acknowledges VPN issues after recent security updates. LockBit releases data from a hospital in France. One of REvil's leaders gets 14 years in prison. A Phishing-as-a-Service provider gets taken down by international law enforcement. China limits Teslas over security concerns. In our Threat Vector segment, David Moulton from Unit 42 explores adversarial AI and deepfakes with two expert guests, Billy Hewlett and Tony Huynh. NightDragon founder and CEO Dave Dewalt joins us with a preview of next week's NightDragon Innovation Summit 2024 at RSAC. And celebrating the 60th anniversary of the BASIC programming language. It's Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your Cyberwire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It is great to have you with us. Dropbox has reported a significant security breach impacting its Dropbox Sign service, previously known as HelloSign. The breach, identified on April 24th, led to unauthorized access to users' emails, usernames, phone numbers, hashed passwords, API keys, and OAuth tokens. Notably, attackers could bypass security measures due to the theft of authentication data. The breach did not affect the content of user accounts or payment information and was confined to the Dropbox Sign platform. The intrusion originated from a compromised service account within Dropbox Sign's backend. In response, Dropbox has reset passwords, logged out users from connected devices, and rotated relevant security credentials. The company is contacting affected users with further instructions and emphasizes ongoing efforts to enhance cybersecurity resilience. No financial impact on the company has been reported, and the investigation continues. Wired reports that the Biden administration, via the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, is urging major technology companies to voluntarily commit to enhancing the security of their software and cloud services. This initiative, part of the Secure by Design campaign, is set to be officially announced at the RSA Cybersecurity Conference. Companies that sign the pledge will agree to implement 7 cybersecurity improvements, including expanding multi-factor authentication and improving vulnerability disclosure programs. The response from the tech industry has been cautious, with only a few companies confirming their participation so far. The initiative aims to shift cybersecurity responsibilities from users to vendors, following numerous security incidents that have affected essential services. CISA's approach emphasizes collaboration with the industry to refine these commitments, moving towards measurable cybersecurity enhancements in software products. Meanwhile, CISA has added a critical vulnerability from GitLab Community and Enterprise editions to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. This flaw involves an account takeover through a password reset mechanism that could send reset emails to unverified addresses. This vulnerability affects multiple versions of GitLab, with patches now available. CISA mandates federal agencies to remediate this issue by May 22nd, and recommends that private organizations also check their systems. Shadow Server reports that thousands of instances, particularly in the US, Germany, and Russia, are still exposed online and vulnerable to this exploit. US, Canadian, and UK cybersecurity agencies have issued recommendations for critical infrastructure organizations in response to attacks by pro-Russia hacktivists on industrial control systems and operational technology systems. These attacks have targeted sectors such as water, energy, and agriculture, often exploiting human-machine interfaces with weak security, like default passwords and outdated software. Recent incidents involve manipulation of HMIs leading to minor operational disruptions, such as tank overflows, although most systems were quickly restored to manual control. While these attacks have generally caused only nuisance effects, there is potential for significant physical threats due to the capabilities of these hackers. The alert suggests some hacktivists could be linked to sophisticated Russian government hacking units like Sandworm. Recommendations for enhancing security have been provided for network defenders and OT device manufacturers. Microsoft has acknowledged that the April 2024 security updates have caused VPN connection failures on various Windows versions, including Windows 11, Windows 10, and Windows Server platforms dating back to 2008. The issue affects both client and server versions, with specific updates identified for each. Microsoft is currently investigating the problem and has not yet offered a solution, but suggests uninstalling the problematic updates as a temporary fix. This action will remove all security fixes included in those updates, potentially exposing systems to vulnerabilities. Microsoft has advised those affected to seek assistance through the Windows Get Help app or the Support for Business portal, depending on their user category. The LockBit ransomware gang has released data it claims to have stolen from the Simone Veil Hospital in Cannes, France, following a ransomware attack on April 16th. This incident is part of a broader pattern of cyber attacks targeting the French healthcare sector. Recently, a cyber attack compromised data on nearly half of France's population. The hospital has rejected the ransom demand and has involved the police and France's cybersecurity agency, ANSSI. The impact on hospital operations has not been disclosed. The hospital plans to inform patients and stakeholders about the specifics of the stolen data after a thorough review. This attack comes amid efforts to revive LockBit's operations following significant law enforcement actions that disrupted its infrastructure and led to arrests and account closures. Despite these setbacks, LockBit's administrators are trying to minimize the damage and continue their operations. Yaroslav Vavinsky, a 24-year-old Ukrainian hacker, has been sentenced to nearly 14 years in prison for his involvement with the REvil ransomware attacks, which infected thousands of computers worldwide and demanded over $700 million in ransoms. Vavinsky was also ordered to pay over $16 million in restitution. His notable crimes include the 2021 attack on CISA, a software provider, which significantly impacted many companies globally. Arrested while crossing from Ukraine into Poland, Vavinsky was extradited to the U.S. and pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including fraud and money laundering. This sentencing, part of a broader U.S. Justice Department effort, underscores a committed international approach to combating cybercrime. Global law enforcement agencies have successfully cracked down on LabHost, a significant phishing-as-a-service provider, in a coordinated operation named Fishoff and Nebulae. This crackdown led to the arrest of 37 individuals across multiple countries, including Australia and the UK, where key operators were detained. LabHost was notorious for offering sophisticated phishing tools used to steal sensitive data like banking credentials and credit card details. The service had over 170 fake websites and supported cybercriminals in executing extensive phishing operations, bypassing security measures such as two-factor authentication. The operation showcased remarkable international collaboration with involvement from 19 countries. Tesla vehicles are increasingly being banned from government-affiliated buildings in China due to security concerns, expanding beyond previous restrictions limited to military bases. According to Nikkei Asia, the bans now include meeting halls, exhibition centers, highway operators, local authority agencies, and cultural centers. Specific incidents include the Grands Hall Conference Center in Shanghai, banning Tesla vehicles entirely, even for passage. This escalation follows prior incidents, such as an airport prohibiting Tesla parking over fears the car's Sentry mode could capture sensitive information. In response, Tesla has established a local data center in China to ensure all vehicle-generated data is stored locally, and emphasized that data from Sentry mode is stored internally and cannot be accessed remotely. Coming up after the break, David Moulton from Unit 42 explores adversarial AI and deepfakes, and NightDragon founder and CEO Dave Dewalt joins us with a preview of next week's NightDragon Innovation Summit at RSA Conference. Stay with us.
Managing the requirements for modern security programs is increasingly challenging and time-consuming. Enter Vanta. Vanta gives you one place to centralize and scale your security program. Quickly assess risk, streamline security reviews, and automate compliance for ISO 27001, SOC 2, and more. You can leverage Vanta's market-leading trust management platform to unify risk management and secure the trust of your customers. Plus, use Vanta AI to save time when completing security questionnaires. Cyberwire Daily listeners can get $1,000 off by going to vanta.com/cyber. That's vanta.com/cyber.
In the dynamic world of enterprise security, identity architects and IT leaders face a major challenge. Growth by repeated acquisitions multiplies the complexity of everything. Multiple IDPs, MFA providers, policy engines that all need to coexist. This can lead to fragmented user identities and policies that create security vulnerabilities and add access friction. Strata Identity solves this. Now you can decommission unneeded IDPs and consolidate the ones you'd like to keep without rewriting apps or disrupting users, engineers, and app owners. Plus, Strata's modular architecture makes it easy to integrate with any identity provider without manual maintenance and coding. Join the ranks of cybersecurity leaders using identity orchestration. Visit strata.io/cyberwire, share your top identity security priorities, and receive a pair of complimentary AirPods Pro. Offer valid for organizations with over 5,000 employees. Step into a new era of identity management at strata.io/cyberwire. David Moulton is host of the Threat Vector podcast right here on the N2K Cyberwire network. In a recent episode, he explored adversarial AI and deepfakes with two of his expert colleagues, Billy Hewlett and Tony Huynh.
In today's digital world where AI can create just about anything, it's wise to just double check before believing everything you see online.
Welcome to Threat Vector, a podcast where Unit 42 shares unique threat intelligence insights, new threat actor TTPs, and real-world case studies. Unit 42 has a global team of threat intelligence experts, incident responders, and proactive security consultants dedicated to safeguarding our digital world. I'm your host, David Moulton, Director of Thought Leadership for Unit 42. In today's episode, I'm sharing a conversation with two AI experts about adversarial AI and deepfakes. As organizations continue to leverage artificial intelligence to fortify their defenses, malicious actors are leveraging the same technology to breach them, leading to yet another round of the age-old game of cat and mouse. My guests today are Billy Hewlett, Senior Director of AI Research at Palo Alto Networks, and Tony Huynh, Security Engineer specializing in AI and deepfakes. I guess I'll start with you, Billy. What are some of the potential risks that you see from adversarial AI for cybersecurity?
Yeah, so academically, there's this idea of adversarial AI, and that's how you use AI to defeat AI. So all of our products use artificial intelligence. We have, for example, in URL filtering, we're trying to take a web page, we're trying to decide if it's malicious or benign, and we have to do this very, very quickly, and we have to do this at scale. And the only way to do that kind of thing is with artificial intelligence. So, if we look at Cortex, if we look at Wildfire, if we look at DNS, if we look at DLP, SAS, all the products in some way use artificial intelligence. So then the question is, does the attacker use artificial intelligence to fight against that AI? And that is what adversarial AI is. It's AI versus AI.
Billy, how are adversarial attacks carried out? And can you talk about some of the most common techniques?
Sure. I mean, I think the most common technique is something where you have some sort of gradient descent on the defenses. So imagine that I was trying to classify malware, and what I did was I said, okay, this thing is malware, and this is how sure I am it's malware, right? If it's 50% sure, or 90% sure, and there's some threshold, and if I go above that threshold, I'm going to call it malware. If I go below that threshold, I'll call it benign. So imagine that I say this is how much I think this is malware, and this is how sure I am. Right now, what the attacker can do is they can take a whole array of malicious and benign files, and they can give it to us or to whoever they're attacking, and they can get the answer back. And they get all these answers back, and they also have sort of numbers like how sure were you that it was malware.
Billy, tell us about the types of adversarial AI attacks that concern you the most.
The attack that really worries me are this AI versus human attacks. We're really, really good at defending our own models. We have lots of work there. There's lots and lots of data. It's much harder to defend humans. I remember I did an internship at Google many years ago, and they said hackers hack people, right? At some end, they hack the computers, and they have to get into your system and all that stuff. And that stuff, I think we're really good at. But at some point, the hackers hack people, and these new techniques that the attackers have on attacking people, we don't have a corresponding great answer for defenses here.
So let me take it over to you, Tony. Tell me how deepfakes are being used for social engineering attacks. And as an expert and researcher, what are the most viable and maybe the most frightening?
It would be CEOs, people in higher positions. The one that Billy mentioned, the CFO, right, reaching out to a finance worker. It was said that it was multiple workers in a call. But imagine, being in that call, your higher ups in there demanding you to send this money. So it's more like sure, you may get the urgent emails, right? Oh, I need you to call me and send me this gift cards. But imagine if your boss is on a Zoom call with you, yelling at you in his voice, urging you to send money. It's kind of convincing.
Do you think that this is a call for us to harden society against adversarial AI?
People have to build up their own internal defenses against this, especially people that are more risky targets. The defense side, I think, will catch up eventually. The AI versus AI case, I think it's a fight, but we're working on it. We understand how to do this. The AI versus human case is more tricky, and then it's sort of can I get something in the medium between you and the attacker? Can I get something on your cell phone if you're doing this? If someone sends you a text message, I don't really have product that can intercept that text message right now.
Now, for the attacker side of it, your pictures on social media, I can grab that and edit the images and deepfake that. If you have YouTube videos, I can do that. A podcast, movies, TikTok, for example, I can pull those images down and build a deepfake around that.
Tony, what ideas do you have that might be helpful to detect unusual or strange behavior?
Billy covered it earlier. It's more like just calling the person out, verifying, and then if you have a phish, report it. Even if you think it could be a phish, right? Our security team or other security team is gonna review it, right? So if you're not sure, better safe than sorry.
Tony, I know we've been talking about video deepfakes, but I'm wondering if you can use some of your tools to give an example of a audio deepfake.
Hey, David, Joe Biden here. Glad to be on Threat Vector. I hope you like this good voice.
That was pretty good. What else have you got?
Hi, hasta la vista. Binary is not a tumor. It's a neural network. I'll be back to debug your algorithms.
Tony, those are pretty good. Thanks for giving us a quick demonstration. That's it for Threat Vector this week. I want to thank our executive producer, Michael Heller, our content and production teams, which includes Jada Azimi, Sheila Drusky, Tanya Wilkins, and Danny Milrad. I edit the show, and Elliot Peltzman mixes the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, stay secure, stay vigilant. Goodbye for now.
Be sure to check out the Threat Vector podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Dave Dewalt is well known in the cybersecurity industry and is the founder and CEO of NightDragon. He joins us with a preview of next week's NightDragon Innovation Summit at the RSA conference.
Dave, first of all, hey, thank you for having me and really appreciate all the hard work you guys do. CyberWire's a fantastic organization and I'm an avid reader every day, so thank you for what you do. We're excited about RSA this year. I start out by saying it's my 20th one. So I like my 20th anniversary, which it dates me at the same time as it does anything else. But in 2004, EMC acquired RSA, and I was president of EMC at the time. So got my first introduction to RSA. Even though we had a little COVID during the time frame, 20th year here, and super excited. It looks like it's a very large event this year again. A lot of interest in the world to the event. And we try to bring a little different angle, Dave, than perhaps others. We have this innovation summit, which is really this juxtaposition of public sector, meaning government, and private sector, meaning the industry of private companies and public, vendors, along with all the buyers, the chief information security officers, and the channel, all kind of coming together into one kind of village, so to speak. And, the theme there is always, better together, united is better. It's a team sport, cyber, we know. So trying to bring together the best of the best from many different areas of the cyber industry to talk about threats, talk about risks, talk about innovation, collaborate, and try to make the world a better place is a little the theme of the summit. And this year's one is going to be record attendance, highest level executives coming, and really, really excited. It's kind of like a family reunion in some ways with a lot of people who've been around a long time and we all know each other. So highlight of the year for me and looking forward, and thank you for being a partner in it.
What strikes me is that it really is an opportunity for folks who attend to hear from a lot of really high-level folks, as you say, both in government and the private sector, all in one place. We talk about, making the best use of your time when you're out in San Francisco for the conference. This really is that.
Yeah, Dave, and that's what I try. This is a 25-year CEO talking. You don't want to waste anybody's time. I'm there to really create high quality content And, it starts out with a little State of the Union of cyber from me, but, and then I have a Kevin Mandia together with Director Jen Easterly of CISA and the head of the U.S. Cyber Command, David Luber, giving us a threat and risk landscape. Then we have sessions with, the biggest data providers, the biggest AI providers. We have, some of the biggest luminaries in the whole industry, George Kurtz, CrowdStrike, fireside chat with him, Nikesh Arora, Palo Alto's CEO. We have, an amazing CISO panel with 100 years of chief information security officer experience amongst the panel. I mean, it's a something. So you start to really try to create content for everybody, no marketing, no sales, kind of really, cut to the chase. And, hopefully it's really worth everybody's time to be there.
Well, you mentioned that you're kicking things off with a State of the Union. Can you give us a little sneak peek of some of the things that you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, I can, certainly, maybe not at a detail level for now, but, we see this, what I've talked about for almost 20 years, this perfect storm of threats and risks that, really have accelerated post-pandemic. And, we've watched a world of globalization for 80 years, post-World War II, change pretty abruptly during the pandemic as you watch shortages of supply chains for vaccines, and then, various regional wars break out, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas, South China Sea conflicts. I mean, it's hard not to look around the world and see we have threats and risks, both cyber and physical. But now we're facing some new threats and risks as well as cyber expands beyond what you think traditionally of the cyber markets, Dave. And, now I talk about, what's called, future fusion, which was all about cyber fusing with other domains, now about fusion being now and being here and being real. And that cyber could be fused with supply chain problems, which we know a lot of the attacks are happening in the supply chain, cyber physical issues, cyber industrial issues, cyber blockchain issues, cyber AI, cyber meets electronic warfare, cyber meets, just about every area of space, air, land, oceans. And you have this merging, this fusing of the cyber domain where it creates ubiquity of the cyber problem across a much bigger threat surface than we traditionally had with a network with firewalls and moats around it. Now it's everywhere, and it's in every part of all of our domains, made worse now even by information warfare, where not only do we have these threats and risks that we're seeing, we now have a hard time believing what we might be seeing in terms of information. And brought on by generative AI and deepfakes. And, can we trust the information we see? And, our ability to fake that now is another level. So, a world where we have, challenges is an understatement. And, there's an old adage, may we live in interesting times, which is not only a curse and a blessing, but it's all wrapped up, and we live in interesting times now.
Yeah, for sure. I was just talking with one of my colleagues here earlier today about how events like this, one of the highlights is getting to spend time meeting people, talking to people. We kind of referred to it as the meeting after the meeting. And one of the things that I really like about this event is how deliberate you are about making time for those kinds of meetings to take place.
Absolutely. I think it's a big part of it, right? I can't be more proud and honored to be a part of this community. And I say that with the greatest love and respect because, I've been in the trenches as CEO of FireEye and Mandiant, McAfee, my time. I've seen the best and the worst and, many cycles of all of this. And, we have a lot of heroes that come to these events. These chief information security officers are, fighting the fight every day. They're warriors. And it's just great to network with them and give them a hug and, be a part of it. Sometimes I just want to stand at the, hotel lobbies and just greet everybody coming in and out because it's like that, right? I mean, it's all part of this team sport that we're a part of. And RSA is a way of bringing us all together. And I hope NightDragon Summit can bring us all together too. in a little microcosm of the bigger event. But this is what it's about, is collegiality in this arena, and we need more of it.
Well, the NightDragon Innovation Summit is May 7th at RSA Conference. It's taking place at the Palace Hotel in the Grand Ballroom. We will have a link in our show notes if you want to find out more about the event. Dave Dewalt is founder and CEO of NightDragon. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Dave, thank you so much for having me, and look forward to seeing you soon.
That's Dave Dewalt, CEO and founder of NightDragon. Don't struggle to align your organization's cybersecurity with business risk. Get the only solution that goes beyond reacting to threats with vulnerability and risk monitoring. You need the next evolution of MDR, and only Critical Start delivers it. Critical Start doesn't just monitor and respond to threats. They put you in control by detecting suspicious activities, quickly responding to contain threats, and identifying your most critical assets and protecting them against vulnerabilities and exposures. With continuous visibility, expert guidance, and measurable risk reduction, Critical Start has redefined what it means to manage cyber risk. Demonstrate provable security maturity to your leadership while positioning your program to achieve the greatest risk reduction per dollar spent. Stop fearing risk and start managing it with Critical Start. Visit criticalstart.com and request a demo today. That's criticalstart.com. And finally, our 8-bit computing desk reminds us that 60 years ago, John Kemeny and Thomas Kurtz introduced the BASIC computer language at Dartmouth College, initiating a revolution in computing accessibility. BASIC, which was designed for ease of use with its simple syntax and line-by-line execution, democratized programming by making it accessible to non-engineers. It rapidly became popular across educational institutions and significantly shaped early personal computing. Programs in BASIC could be simple, from creating loops to handling user inputs, which facilitated learning and experimentation for new programmers. The language evolved over the decades, influencing the development of many modern programming tools and environments. Despite its reduced use in professional applications today, BASIC's legacy persists in educational tools and hobbyist communities, continuing to make programming accessible to novices. I vividly remember the first time I laid hands on a personal computer, a TRS-80 Model 1, in my middle school library. I typed in 10 print, Dave is cool, 20, go to 10. That set me on the path to where I am today. It's fashionable these days for developers to turn up their noses at the simplicity and lack of sophistication of the BASIC programming language, but for a lot of us of a certain age, it was a gateway into a whole new world. And that's the Cyberwire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like this show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn more at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karpf. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And now, a word from our sponsor, 6sense. 6sense provides award-winning cloud-based automated endpoint and vulnerability management solutions to streamline IT and security operations. With its advanced platform, businesses gain complete visibility and control over their infrastructure, reducing IT and security risks and optimizing operational efficiency. With 6sense, you'll get real-time alerts, risk-based vulnerability prioritization and remediations, and an intuitive automation and orchestration engine so you can focus on your core business goals, confident in the knowledge that your enterprise is secure, compliant, and running smoothly. To learn why enterprises choose 6sense, visit 6sense.com.